Hi everybody, Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Danny Goff. Danny and I are going to talk about building success in sales with social. Before we dive into that, Danny, where can people get hold of you?
You can follow me on LinkedIn, Danny Goff, Goff as in Frank. You can also email me, dgoff@driversreach.com. My mobile's on there. Whatever works easiest for you. So thanks for having me, Tim.
You're welcome, Danny. So you actually told me something before we came on live. I want to talk to you about it, but I'm actually going to hold back on that for a second. Before you got into doing what you're doing, which is sales in a transportation company, you actually were part of an art gallery, weren't you?
Yes, an online art gallery. We were the first to market in the canvas space for children's decor, for like a nursery room. Mothers were our main target. So 99% of our buyers were moms buying online. And that's how I started to get into some digital marketing.
And you got into, so you had, was it 8,000 followers on Facebook, and you were doing pay-per-click and Instagram and...
Yeah, we ramped up pretty quickly in about 2 months from 0 to 8,000 followers, started generating some organic traffic as well. But primarily that was paid, and that was when Facebook was a lot less expensive than what it is today.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Facebook is, I mean, you described it as a pay-to-play platform. And I guess in some cases, it, you know, unless you have built up a following, then you have to pay to make it work.
Absolutely. And we actually... similar to some of the results I'm seeing today on LinkedIn as my main channel, we had better results because of the algorithm at the time. You could get a lot of impressions on your own personal page. And then that transitioned to the pay-to-play model. So that was Facebook 2011, 2012. And then similarly, Instagram closer to 2013, 2014. And then now we are here with LinkedIn. For example, if you take a look at a prominent company that may, and you know this probably better than me, Tim, but if you take a look at a prominent company with, say, 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, well, I can get more engagement from my personal content than a company can with 500,000 followers, which is crazy to me. And so I think that's...
So how did you do that then, Danny?
Consistency.
Right, consistency.
And know your audience. And some of that is through learning and posting, but it starts with taking the time, finding some content that you feel your audience on LinkedIn will like and engage with, and then you can tweak that over time. But it's not too complicated. I put out stuff that I think my industry will like and engage with. A lot of it's video, and then I always try to make sure whoever's video that is, they get the credit for that. So I typically...
So explain to people what you do. You're a sales guy, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. So I'm in the transportation industry. We help specifically trucking companies hire qualified CDL drivers. There's a large driver shortage in the US. There also is in Europe. It's very difficult to get qualified drivers hired. And so we provide a technology solution that allows you to easily do that. So we're recruiting and hiring software with a bit of compliance mixed in there too, but not complicated. We're in an industry where companies are still having drivers download a PDF, fill out a PDF. And this is someone that's in their truck all day long or night long, and then scan that back in and then proceed with the hiring process. It was my first day, literally my first day in the industry. I had someone on the phone. They showed some interest. At the end of the call, they said, "Can you fax me that information?" I said, "Welcome to trucking."
So in terms of your day-to-day job, you're actually you spend a lot of the time on the phone because you say it's a, you know, you can pick up the phone and talk to people. But in terms of what you're doing on social, you told me before we actually came on, well, when back in the day when we did this, we did the prep call, you were told me you were getting 2 or 3 leads a month. Now you're telling me you're getting 2 or 3 leads a week.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what are you doing to get those 2 or 3 leads a week then?
Consistently posting content
Yep.
to my audience,
yep,
with appropriate tags.
Yep.
And then more importantly than that, engaging with my audience.
Right. So that's going on and commenting on what people are posting.
And I'm not being very proactive with it. I'm not intentionally necessarily out there messaging everyone. Most of it's inbound. They see my post, they see my title or my tagline. I think it's helping trucking companies hire qualified drivers. That immediately grabs their attention. So if I'm commenting, and that's just the power of social media. So, my network sees it, and then their network sees it, and so on and so on. And then if someone sees that tagline that's looking for truck drivers, then naturally they'll kind of migrate to my page, shoot me a message, ask some questions, and then we either keep it on that channel or do like you and I, have done a web meeting or phone call.
So I know that you, when we talked in terms of the prep, you said that there was a gut reaction, because I asked you and said, how do you define good content? Mm-hmm. And you basically said, and it was kind of a gut reaction, which is when content is good and when content is bad.
Mm-hmm. I know what I like.
Yeah.
And so I put out stuff that might be new, cutting edge, innovative in the space. There's a lot of changes going on in trucking, from automation to electric powered trucks, even hydrogen powered trucks. So it's not super complicated. I'm repurposing other content, and again, making sure I tag the owner, and then engaging with the audience. And some of that you just learn over time. Once as well as I do, you learn as you go.
Yeah. Well, I think it's having that understanding about what is good and what is bad, and what is interested and what is interesting and what is boring. Because I've been in situations, certainly in the corporate world, where I was told to put out certain content, and I knew that it was boring.
Yeah,
you're smiling.
We've been there. That was an early content strategy where we were all sent an email of the daily post, and it's about our company, okay, about what we do. Well, maybe the audience doesn't necessarily want to see every day what we do. Maybe they want to have something about them, or something that's more interesting to them versus us all the time. Brand. It's now about personal brand, making a connection. And then if it makes sense, we can get into that conversation about what we do at a later time.
So you're in effect, you're using the content of interesting articles like hydrogen powered lorries and stuff like that, where people go, that's interesting. And then you're in effect, they're coming to you, and then you're striking up a conversation.
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm. And then now, with the way that big tech works and follow us around on our cell phones, our browsers, our tablets, they know what I like. On my news feed, whether it's social media or my news app or YouTube, they know my interests at this point. So that content's now coming to me pretty naturally. I don't have to search for it too hard.
Okay, that's a really good point, which is, so in effect, you're not having to spend loads and loads of time researching all these different articles. In effect, it comes to you.
Yes, that's pretty fair. And I wouldn't, if someone's just getting started, I wouldn't recommend spending too much time on it. Maybe 5-10 minutes a day. Post your thoughts, ask a question. Right now, specifically with LinkedIn, text-based posts are doing better than any other content that's out there. Asking a question, getting your audience's opinions on something. So working to create engagement really is the goal.
So being consistent, but also, as you say, you're spending just 10 minutes just asking a question. What's the future of hydrogen lorries or something like that?
Exactly right. What are you seeing since you've been doing this and kind of the trends and content. Obviously, personal branding is huge right now with the platform LinkedIn. Just curious what you're seeing out there.
I think. Well, for me, you're 100%. There's a kind of a gut reaction to what's good content and what's bad content. And I remember being told to put out content, and I was thinking, this is rubbish. I'm being polite, it just doesn't work. Whereas I agree with you that I use Flipboard, which is a free app, it has an algorithm, and it tells me I put in what I want to know about, and it brings me those articles. And I do that because I like to keep contact with world affairs, but I also do it because I'm interested in certain tech subjects. But what we found always is that there's like a hierarchy of content. If you're talking about the company and the products, nobody cares. I know that lots of marketers say it's all about branding, but it's not. And as you move up the hierarchy, you get more likes or you get more engagement. So if you author something yourself, you'll get engagement. And if you take something like, here's an article and here's my opinion of it, you'll get engagement. But the thing that always gets the most engagement is the fact that it's actually about you, and it shows that you're a human. Because at the end of the day, people buy people, and what we're looking for is the fact that people are human, and the people that what we do is we go through this process of knowing people, liking someone, buying or trusting them, and ultimately then buying from somebody. And we buy from people that we know, like, and trust. Absolutely. So our job as salespeople is to pull people in, not to say, hey, here's my product, but ultimately to pull people in, build a relationship with them. And then when they have a problem, they go, Dan is the solution to my problem. They'll come to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Humanize it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but I agree. But I agree with you. It's also about consistency. We've got all the bells going off now, Danny.
I put do not disturb on. I don't know where this is coming from. Sorry about that. I made sure to put do not disturb on.
So, and I think that I agree with you that the important point is consistency. If you're going to put stuff out, you need to. So I put content out every day. And people say, well, doesn't that take a lot of time? Well, yes, it does. But it's actually quick. It's quicker for me to do that than it is for me to try and get the same response by cold calling people or by emailing people. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, sales takes time and effort. But it takes a lot less effort doing it this way than it does the legacy way. Yes,
and I would agree. And the industry I'm in, we're still, I guess, fortunate, if you will. The government mandates that every trucking company, every carrier that hires CDL drivers has an up-to-date phone number and email address.
Right.
So cold calling still can be effective, but obviously at some point, as you build up your brand, as you put out this content, it would be great to not have to make those phone calls and get all these inbound requests, because people know who you are, people know what you do. So it's a healthy mix still at this time. I mean, we still do email, we still do phone calls, texting's pretty big right now. But LinkedIn, I have a hunch, if I took the amount of time that I spend on the phone and email solely on LinkedIn, I would imagine my performance would be better.
Would go up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you've got to make the calls and send the emails because you're being told to by upstairs, I guess.
Yeah, just don't let them see this episode. But
yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful. We love them. So you're in terms of your advice, it's about finding content that is interesting, engaging, putting that out, maybe asking a question, and creating conversations online and being consistent about it.
Absolutely. And again, you can start small. I think a good starting point is get your homepage, get your profile page in order. People don't care about what your quota was last month, last year, or what your title is. They care about who you are. They want to learn about you. And so when you're putting out this content, naturally, they're going to migrate to your profile page. And that's where they might begin to engage with you right from there. So make it about you. Show some personality. Again, no one cares about what you've done and your roles in the past. Just show who you are and a little bit about what you do.
I think that's a really great point in terms of having on your profile your personality. So because at the end of the day, if people are going to form a relationship with you, they want to know something about you. You know, when we came on and first started talking, or if you have a call with somebody, then what happens is that you immediately try and find some element of where there's a crossover between you and the different people. So you could actually build that on your LinkedIn profile ahead of time. So when people come to it and go, I think Danny's a really good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him a call.
Would be good for your prospecting. You could talk about something other than weather and sports when you get on those calls. So yeah, absolutely. I think that would be helpful.
So one of the things that I thought I'd ask also is about a lot of people think that using social to sell is all about being on social, but so you go through a process of putting out the content, engaging with the people and having a conversation on social. Do you then move that off to the telephone or to Zoom or something like that?
I attempt to, but if their preference is to stay on social, then I'll stay right there on social. So whether it be if they like to be on the phone and are someone that really responds well to email, then I'll work to set up more calls. So I try to cater to my audience when possible.
Okay, but ultimately, you know, if they're comfortable on social, and some people are, then you'll leave it there. Otherwise, you'll actually try and take it to some sort of call or Teams or Zoom meeting or something.
Typically, a phone call or a Zoom meeting. We use Zoom now because I can't really convey the value of what we do just on social at this time. Like I have to show a live preview of what we offer.
Right.
Typically.
So you need to do a demo really, or
demo, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're in effect you'd want to move people onto that position so you can do some sort of demo.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. Okay. Cool. So it's not all about being on social. It's about picking up the initial conversation, contact, and then probably moving on to something else if you can do that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Danny, it's been fantastic talking to you. Unfortunately, it goes so quickly. Thank you so much for your spending some time with us today. Really appreciate it. And sharing that with the audience. Sorry?
I said, you're the best.
Oh, thank you.
I love what you guys do. I love what you're
you.
helping sales professionals and companies do all over the world, really. So thank you for what you do.
Hey, no, you're welcome, Danny. We just try and help as many people as we can. And again, thank you so much for spending your time with us today and sharing, because I think it's so important that people hear, you know, people's experience in actually getting in, doing a little bit of work, 5 or 10 minutes a day, and actually getting 3 or 4 leads a week from it. And that's just like an awesome response. So, I mean, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us.
Thanks for having me.
Danny, have a great day. And cheers to my tea and your coffee.
You too.
Thanks, Danny.